one for which we stand. I invite you to stand for that, and also for the prayer of illumination that I will offer before it. Hear this prayer and remain standing for the gospel. Holy God, author of the Word made flesh, to whom belongs the first word and the last, open to us your Spirit, that as Scripture is spoken and your Word proclaimed, we may be comforted, convinced, and changed to the glory of Jesus Christ, whose name and in whose name we pray. Amen. We continue this week in our Sermon on the Mount, the third week, one more week to go. But I have asked you to hear this portion, chapter 5, verses 21 through 37, concerning anger. You have heard it said of ancient times, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable for judgment. But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable for judgment. And if you insult a brother or sister, you will be liable to the council. And if you say, you fool, you will be liable to the hell of fire. So when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that someone has something against you, leave your gift right there at the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother and sister, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are on the way to court with him, or your accuser may hand you over to the judge, and then the guard will throw you in prison. Truly, I tell you, you will never get out until the last penny. Concerning adultery, you have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks upon a woman with lust in his heart has already committed adultery with her. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body be thrown into hell. But if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better to use one of your members than for your whole body to go into. Concerning divorce, it was also said that whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that anyone who divorces his wife except on the ground of unchastity causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Concerning oaths, once again, you have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, you shall not swear falsely, but carry out the vows that you have made to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all, either by heaven or earth. For heaven is the throne of God, and the earth is the footstool. And don't swear by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make one hair of your head white or black. Let your yes be yes, and no be no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Wow, you may be seated. Thanks be. Interesting word. What's the preacher going to say about all of that? Well, as I indicated, today's text starts the third in a series of sermons on the Sermon on the Mount. Found in Matthew's Gospel, 3 chapters long worth of preaching and teaching. Do you remember where they're located in Matthew's Gospel? 5, 6, and 7. Chapters 5, 6, and 7 in Matthew's Gospel. Richard wrote an interesting piece. He had a whole blank left in the bulletin. He said, what shall I write? I was on my way out the door and I said, why don't you do some research in the difference between Matthew's Beatitudes and Luke's Beatitudes, or his Sermon on the Plain. Oh, he said. When I came back 2 hours later, he was still doing the research. So you better read that, because he's going to ask me if you read it. He's home recovering. This section of preaching in Matthew's Gospel is the longest, most continuous sermon that Jesus has in Matthew's Gospel. 3 chapters long. In it are those beloved passages of Scripture that we know, like the Beatitudes, like the Lord's Prayer. And also in there are some of the basic tenets of the Christian faith. If I were going to be teaching a newcomer class, a basic Christianity class, I'm going to send them to Matthew's Gospel, and we're going to sit at the mountain with Jesus as he preaches and teaches some of the basic things of the faith. This is where we as Methodists draw our social principles and our social creed and what it means to be in love and right relationship with people. On this side of the story, I can't help but think about those first congregants as Jesus was preaching on that mountain that day. Now, 3 chapters worth, that's a long sermon, folks. I can only imagine as their stomachs got empty and their children got rowdy that they thought this sermon is probably going on way too long. Either that or we're going to have some lunch. I find myself in kind of the same place as I look at these 17 verses that are just pregnant with all kinds of possibilities. Because I know I didn't pack any lunches or cold drinks for you, and my sermon could easily fall outside of the margins if I took all the time that I needed to talk about these 4 different things that Matthew talks about. But when we head to seminary, or whether we're a lay speaker or we're a licensed local pastor, one of the things that they teach you when you're going to preach effectively, you really need to collect all of your thoughts in that text around one major theme. Otherwise, people are going to get lost. I'd love to tell you I do that every Sunday. Some Sundays you are like, she's here, she's there, point 1, point 2. Listen, folks, there's a good reason for that. The Scripture is full of so much life. I want to cover it all. It's not practical to cover it all. But I try to do a little bit of research to understand maybe why I feel this angst about wanting to share the Word with you and break it open. And I had to do some calculations. And let me admit to you that each of us have 525,600 minutes per year. Did you know that? 525,600 minutes per year. Now, presuming that you come to church every Sunday, which you don't, because that's the nature of our mobile society. Some of you do, but some of us are just really mobile. I'm assuming that I'm here 50 Sundays a year, a couple Sundays off, and that I get an hour of your time, but not really. I only get about 25 minutes, and that's if I'm going good. And then sometimes people will like me going past that. So if you have 525,600 minutes, do you know how much of that time I get if I were preaching 25 minutes for 50 weeks a year? All somebody's doing the math in their head. 1,250 minutes. That's it. That's it. So let me tell you, folks, the next time the preacher goes over, think twice before you criticize him or her. I can tell you with that many minutes, you've got plenty to spare in your day and in your year. There's so much that we want to cover. Good stuff. Scripture is full of it. Verses 21 through 26 concerning murder and anger and reconciliation. As I look around the crowd today here, I think we're pretty safe with the murder mandate. I don't see any of you that I'm fearing that you're homicidal. You might get angry, but I don't think you take it that far. But folks, there are plenty of people. Listen, I'm a crime show junkie. Really wanted to go to law school and do criminal law. That was my dream. There are plenty of people that change their life and the lives of those around them in a split second because of their anger. Amen. And what Jesus says is about this anger is that anger unchecked can lead to murder. Maybe not murder in the way you think of it physically, it sure could. But sometimes we murder people with our words and with our looks and with our judgment. Keep a check on our anger. And what is it about Jesus saying that when you're in worship, or maybe when you've come to the altar for prayer or to receive communion, and in the midst of that worshipful moment, the Spirit convicts you and reminds you of a wrong that your brother has against you, or a wrong that you committed. And Scripture says that we should get up at once and go make that wrong right. Now, I'll have to say, in the midst of any worship or communion service,
I've never had anybody leave and report back to me that they went to make a wrong right. But folks, can you imagine how much less toxic stuff would be floating around in our bodies if we did that? If we just went and made it right, whether it was all our fault or not, or whether just part of it was our fault, or just a smidgen of it was our fault. We carry around much too much waste within us when we could have just left and made it right. Oh, that we would. You know, as a woman growing up in the South, I've had to work through the years on my esteem and my assertiveness because, you know, there's a certain way we're supposed to act with decorum as women, especially over the South. I'm working on my esteem here and my assertiveness. I don't want to go make a wrong right. Why do I always have to be first? You resonate. It's not just a thing for women. Men sometimes struggle with it. Anger, unchecked, can lead to all kinds of murderous things, and reconciliation not done can lead to toxic waste that hurts us and others. Adultery, verses 27 through 30. Let's be honest, folks. There's not a one of us sitting in here that hasn't looked upon somebody else who's not doesn't have a ring on their finger that we've given, or in our singleness, and thought, "Oh, yes, that's what I'm talking about." We've all done it, folks. Every one of us. And it's human. God gave us emotion and passion and energy, and that's just human. But I'm here to tell you, I don't like Jesus drawing these lines, redrawing these lines. I mean, it's enough that we as Christians have to subdue our bodies. Why do we have to subdue our imaginations? I like imagination. It's great. It helps us escape. We can be creative. We can think about things that we can never do. And what's that going to harm? Oh, plenty. As a pastor, I can't tell you the number of people that I've sat with, men and women, who struggle in an online relationship with pornography. Or in an online relationship, because it can be hidden well, or so we think. Divorce. Verses 21 through 32. As for divorce, do you realize that the book of Deuteronomy neither justifies nor forbids divorce? Look it up. Deuteronomy 24, verses 1 through 14. Yet how does Matthew's Jesus come off as saying that divorce is permissible, but only in the case of unchastity? Hey, listen, if you're in Mark's gospel, Mark says just divorce is not permissible at all. But Jesus said this. I want to know who died and made Jesus God. Yeah. Jesus goes to meddling when he starts talking about divorce, because we all know that half of the marriages will end in divorce. One of mine did. It's easy to judge, all right. There are stories on every side. Some believable, some not. But to say that divorce is acceptable only in the cases of unchastity, I wonder how fair that is. I, as a pastor, have sat with people who are living in the same house, and there's nothing of a marriage relationship that you can find in it. Long since stopped being intimate with one another. In many cases, it may be toxic. But it's convenient. At least we can still financially support each other. We don't have to dicker about splitting up property and kids. That's painful. Let's just keep up appearances and do the best we can. Some people stay because they think that Scripture insists that they must. They stay for the kids' sake. They stay because it's easier. Some stay because they've been threatened with their very lives. Sit with a woman who's been battered and abused, and she'll tell you why she stays in the cycle of abuse. Yes, indeed. And then if you don't think that's hard enough to hear, folks, Matthew goes on to say in the double whammy, verse 32, marry a divorced woman, or let's just throw in man, except for unchastity, causes both to be living in sin. Ouch. I'll say more on that later. And lastly, Jesus talks about in verses 33 through 37, swearing or making oaths. that might be less familiar to us. Let's face it, in searching for the truth told slant, or the truth in any way that we find it, at times it's hard to stand on truth without making a vow or claiming that God, help us by God's grace, what I say to you is true. Sometimes we can't stand in our own integrity because we lack integrity, and we got to bring others along for the ride to vouchsafe for us, including God, and bringing His name in vain in order to make our point about who we really are. Now a word about Facebook. I have a friend who says for all the beauty of Facebook, he thinks that sometimes it's fake book. Percentages will show that as many as 2 times, what is the statistic? If we use Facebook, that we are 2 times more likely to suffer with depression than not. What does it mean to show everybody our perfect life that's not? None of our lives are perfect. Isn't it beautiful when we can use Facebook in a great way, where we share the joys of family and togetherness, where we post pictures of our grandmother and folks can say, wow, you look like you were spit right out of her mouth. Those are the joyous things. But when we feel like we got to post stuff that's not true just to keep up with our neighbors, then that destroys and kills us. What does it mean to have all of these likes? Do we get our self-worth from how many likes we have on Facebook or not? No, folks. God vouches for us. He's all the support we'll ever need. So that whether we feel like we need to call upon His name or call upon others to support us for who we are or who we aren't, or whether we have to post something on Facebook to make it look like we're what we're not, let us trust that God has made us perfect and lovable as we are. We can stand in our own truth and in the own image that He made us and know that we're likable enough by His grace. Now, if a pastor's supposed to preach on one main theme, I've already broken, haven't I? I've talked about 4 things. But they're all tied together when we look at the theme of the way that God treats us. The whole Sermon on the Mount, the whole business of why Christ came to be on the earth with us, and why Christ confronted the law in the first place, is that far too many of us are concerned with legalism and with every jot and tittle of the law, and we forget that even though justice has to be ministered, it can be done with love and grace and mercy. And look at the individual life that stands before the law. Far too many of us become legalists. We've forgotten what it's like to be with God, who goes the distance with us, who teaches us what it's like to go the second mile, who teaches us what it's like to best the law, to be better than the law, to live above it and beyond it, and to live it but live in the spirit of it, and to know when there are times that we need not be so exacting and trust God to be the Messiah. We are not. He's already come and done that. We need not judge our brother and sister. I can tell you they have probably judged themselves more than you could ever think of judging. So part of what we do as we look at these themes that are bound together in Christ's love and the way He goes that distance with us is we commit to do the work of managing our anger by the grace of God. If anger is your strongest emotion in mind, we got a problem, folks. We need help to manage that emotion so that we can live in grace and peace with our brother. And if we struggle to make our relationship right because of our pride, it's time we put on our big boy and big girl britches and go make it right, folks. We as Christians are supposed to model what it means to love, not to drag around a bag of rocks and toxicity with us so that people can't see beyond our pain to see the good and the joy within us. And about this whole business of divorce. Through the years, people have struggled to try to understand what God means by that. And as I've said to you, I've seen people who continue to live together who probably would do better if they found a graceful way to live individually and still love and care for the other, but understand that sometimes life together is painful and does not create God's image deep within us. That's why I'm grateful that the United Methodist Church has a statement about what we believe about divorce. And because so many of us struggle with that or have that in our family, I'd like to read this to you. It is grace-filled. God's plan is for lifelong, faithful marriage. The church must be on the forefront of premarital and marital and postmarital counseling in order to create and preserve healthy relationships. However, when a married couple is estranged beyond seeming reconciliation, even after thoughtful counsel and prayer, divorce is a regrettable alternative in the midst of a broken world. We grieve over the devastating emotional, spiritual, and economic consequences of divorce for all involved, understanding that women and especially children are disproportionately impacted by these burdens. As the church, we are concerned about high divorce rates. It is recommended that methods of mediation be used to minimize the adversarial nature and fault-finding that are often part of our current judicial process. Encouraging reconciliation whenever possible. We support efforts by governments to reform divorce laws and other aspects of family law in order to address negative trends and high divorce rates. Although divorce publicly declares that a marriage no longer exists, other covenantal relationships as a result of the divorce still exist, such as the nurture and the care of children. We urge respectful negotiations, deciding for the custody of the children, and that both parents be considered for that custody. And that custody not be reduced to financial support or control or manipulation or retaliation. The welfare of each child is the most important thing. And finally, divorce in a United Methodist way of understanding Scripture does not, after thoughtful counsel and repeated efforts to make it right, divorce does not preclude a new marriage. We encourage an intentional commitment of the church and society to minister compassionately to those in the process of divorce, as well as members of divorced and remarried families, and the community of faith, where God's grace is shared by all. Now, if that doesn't apply to you, it certainly will to someone you know. Keep those things in mind when we think about legality. Think about how God's love and grace can be drawn into what it means to be right before God. Folks, Jesus finally is where everything comes together. 2 strands of a rope, 4 strands or 8 strands, all of them knotted together in love and grace. Red and yellow, black and white, male and female, or not sure what I am, heterosexual or homosexual, young or old, the guarded personality or the continual gossip, north, south, east, and west, liberal or conservative, American or not, tote my gun with me wherever I go, or guns are anathema. Those who sing the song of liberty as the statue does on Ellis Island, or those who think we may need to have a wall to control it. All of us are loved equally by God because God can do no other. Surely then we can love and show grace. Imagine ancient law reinterpreted, because far too many of us have forgotten how to practice love and to put aside some of the legality. Let God be God, and let us love as God has shown us. Going the distance with Jesus means that life and relationships will mean a whole lot more. They'll be a whole lot richer, and they'll be a whole lot deeper. In the midst of understanding God's law, we practice His law of love. In the name of the Father, the Son,